Okay, let's see. Microphone's on. I think we are live. Hey everybody, welcome, just checking to see audio and video here. Quincy, what are you doing, Bubba-doo? Checking to see, make sure video looks good, audio looks good. Hopefully connectivity is good. Hopefully hang on 1 second. Checking, let's see here. Hey Michael. Welcome to my back steps. Believe it or not, this is actually fall. It's like 80 degrees out here. Thank you very much. And I think connectivity is good too. Sorry for being a little bit later. Connectivity has been an issue, trying to find good connectivity. And of course, I try to put, I want to be able to not just video from inside my place in the same spot near my couch. So this is where I decided to do it this week. So again, with the magic of television and smartphones and BlackBerry and microphones and whatnots, here I am for another episode of Inside the Moonshadow. We have episode 89 today, from my backyard. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. Appreciate the hearts and the love, Michael. Appreciate that very much. And it's great to see you guys here. Definitely. We'll get this thing, we'll get the show going in a minute or so. But I want to... I share on all your social media. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All the way from Minnesota. Hey, Bubba-doo. And I've got, my dog up there. Quincy. He's kind of hanging out from the top of the deck, looking down, going, "What you doing? Why can't I go down there?" So yeah. But it's always great seeing you guys here. Today's show is it's kind of hard to explain what today's show is all about. Well, it is and it's not. It's it can be a heavy topic, but also it could be a not a heavy topic all at the same time. It really depends on your viewpoint. I guess. But we'll get to that very, very soon. And but there's a story. There's always a story behind the there's always a story behind the topic, because the topics don't always come easy. Sometimes they just show up. So let's see here. So thanks for sharing on all your social media. I appreciate that. And whoever is popping in, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode. We're looking at episode 89 of Inside the Moonshadow. And of course, not all live streaming is pretty. As a matter of fact, most of mine isn't. But as you can tell, I'm looking very scruff and scrumbly and all that. So very little maintenance or manscaping today. So I guess the sorry not sorry department would have to come in. So I think that's also part of it as well. Oh, welcome, Anna. Thank you. Well, let's see here. Well, let's see if I can move this over. The downside to using something that is in such a small package is you have 50 billion things going on at once. But yeah. But it's the topic for today is definitely something that has touched and affected everyone. I would be very, very surprised if it hasn't touched you in your life very much, somehow, some way. Oh, thank you. This is the DIY, by the way. This is how the steps turned out. They turned out pretty well. So here I am on the back of Casa Moonshadow. Actually, I chose the back deck because connectivity, but it's also because it's really, really, it's nice and comfy right here in the back deck. It's also very comfy right here in the steps because I'm a little bit of shade. So which is really nice. But the topic today is definitely something that has affected probably all of you at least once in your life, if not more. So, yeah, actually, am I sitting on a step? No. I'm sitting in front of a couple of steps I've had to even replace because they were damaged. So, yeah, I've had to do a lot of different things. And when you have to do things on the fly and you have to live by the shoestring, you have to learn how to do things yourself. So DIY is definitely something. Didn't have much of a choice. It's always nice to be able to pay, just pay somewhere to get it done, and that's it. As an example, I used to do my oil changes in my vehicles, but then I did the math. I did the logical, deductive reasoning in it, and I literally only saved probably like $3 to $4. So now I just have my mechanic do it. It's just so much easier. So some things it's well worth just paying someone to do it, and other things, it took maybe 20 to replace. Definitely. But I'm so glad that you guys are here. And apropos, of course, my little very bad connection has to pop up on my YouTube, which is one of the things I have to do is upgrade my connection. I think my connectivity needs to get looked at a little bit better too. So working on that. But yeah, we'll start. Let's see here, 4:36. We'll start in another 4 minutes and get this party started. And we'll get to the topic at hand. Absolutely. But thanks, I'm so thankful that you guys are here. And for all my Korean students that have popped in or catch this replay, I want to say thank you for showing up. And it's always fun teaching you English and having conversations with you. So Insight with Moonshadow has crossed over into the Korean border too in South Korea, which we're already pretty international now, but now we're welcomed in South Korea, which is very, very cool. Yeah, what's the topic du jour? Well, the topic du jour is kind of a tough topic, but this topic kind of was in the works starting in Muir Woods, and then it became more fleshed out over the last couple of days. So of course I usually have more than one topic floating around in my brain, but this one was floating around, and then I'm like, and then I had to, after a little bit of research, find out that this is the good day. This is a good day for this conversation. So now I'm hoping that the audio is good and the video is good as well. It looks good on my end. The microphone is working, so the audio is working, and the video looks good. The connectivity looks good as well. Seems solid on both. Fantastic. That's always good. So yeah. So another couple minutes and we'll get started. Then it digitizes, right? Yeah. Well, it's I think it will. This is part of the experimental phase of things. But this just apropos to me just wanting to offer different locations, different places, different things, and being versatile. And you can hear the sights and sounds. Well, you can hear the sounds. You can't see the sights, but you can hear the sounds of my backyard. Someone's doing some construction somewhere. I hear a hammer, but I also hear some birds and critters over my backyard as well. I'm sure you can hear it too. But if you can listen. Yes. So, but this is my yard. This is where I live. I would bother moving the phone, but then where we're already at, it's probably good situated just the way it is. So I probably shouldn't move the phone around too much. But that's life experience, Anna. That's life experience. Crinkles and whatnot. Lines and age and wisdom and whatnot. Yeah, it's one of the crazy things that life brings in. All right, so let's get this started. We're looking at, 14 minutes in. So 14 minutes in. Note, 14 minutes in. Or 14:11, basically. All right. So let's get this show started. Welcome to Integrative Moonshadow. I'm Moonshadow, an integrative holistic therapist, a CHI-vangelist, social activist, and just overall someone that believes that love and chi should rule the world. So here I am, and welcome to another episode. We're looking at episode 89 of Inside the Moonshadow, and we've been here. We've been doing this for 89 episodes, so it gets really, really interesting as we go along. A lot of it is very unscripted. Well, most of it, 99.99999, is usually very unscripted, and even I don't know what's going to happen when it happens. As you can tell, my dog chiming in. But today's topic started when I was on the West Coast. Now, I was on the West Coast walking through Muir Woods with my trusty partner in crime. As you can see, my dog in the background probably. And producer Ariel. And as we were in Muir Woods, I found something. Now, this is what I found, and I'll show it to you. This is what I found. I found a heart. So, interestingly, I found this heart, and this was in Muir Woods, and hey,
Yes, Poppy.
come here. Come on. And as you can see, here he is. All right, go ahead. Do your business. Don't knock my camera over. I will not be a happy camper. Get going. So I found this in Muir's Woods. So now this went ahead and said, take me, always choose kindness. And this is there's a hashtag attached to this too, which is hashtag Peyton Heart Project. Now, they're reading on this charity, this movement is about suicide. It's about suicide. So this is bringing awareness to suicide. So it made me really think about the way the world is today, and with what's happening with bullying and trolling, and how people aren't really as nice as they should be. So when I found that, this was kind of like a wake-up call for me. Yeah, I know, it is. And this is one of the reasons why I brought it up today, because September is also, ending September, it's also National Suicide Prevention Month as well. So that also, it is heavy. It is heavy. But the thing is this, though. Hey, Gene. But I'm finding a heart, though. This was a heart, and this was random. You know, walking through the woods, and thank you, Michael. Walking through the woods, and I see this heart, right? So now this heart also, it kind of woke me up, because I had lost, when I was younger, in my 20s, I had lost a dear friend to suicide, and she was just an amazing spirit. You would have never known. This is before all this stuff is going on today. But you'd have never known that she was so unhappy, and she was depressed, and she didn't like her life as much because she was just troubled on the inside. Now, so this is what started my thought pattern on life itself. Now, all too often life can be really, really heavy, right? So we end up having a lot of tough times, and it's really, really hard to kind of put yourself together, you know, and kind of keep yourself together. Like Anna's saying here, she lost a friend from high school during college to suicide. Okay, and he was his parents' only child. So it's go figure. So a lot of what's going on today, there's a lot of mental illness that's kind of slipping through the cracks. There are a lot of people in the world that aren't getting the love and attention or affection or acknowledgement So this is why I'm bringing up this topic. It's not a fun topic. It's not a topic that you want to bring up all the time. I myself have also been in the same boat. There have been some pretty dark times in my life as well. But this is one of the reasons. But I found a heart. This is what started it. I found a heart, though, right? So I saw that, and it gave me a smile. And then I looked at that, and it just said, choose kindness. So to me, it was, it says, you found a heart, it's yours to keep. And of course, I took a picture with it, and I also sent it to the Peyton Heart Project as well. So definitely, if you'd like to look at more information with it, definitely look up the PeytonHeartProject.org, right? So if you'd like to learn more about it, and also we're in the process of we're going to get a bunch of hearts, and as I travel, I'm going to sprinkle hearts everywhere as well. If anyone knows me for longer than 5 minutes, this is totally something that I would do, is spread this stuff around. So, but the thing is this, though, it's a heavy topic. It is a heavy topic, but the thing is this, a lot of times people don't realize some of the most incredibly happy people we've lost them to suicide. Robin Williams was one of them. He had all kinds of things going on, and he was just an amazing, bright soul, and look what happened. There's a lot of that's gone down. And also just people that I know, right, even in this broadcast, I'm sure that it may have crossed your mind. I know a couple of people in the broadcast right now. I'm not going to single them out, but I know that they've suffered from some form of depression or some kind of bout of disbelief that life was the way to go. Life was the decision to make. So now, it's hard. It's a hard thing. But, and especially nowadays with the way things look presently, and of course, I've never been the type of person to shy away from heavy-duty topics and heavy-duty subjects. But also, too, there's a lighter side to everything as well. And no matter how much darkness there is, there's always light on the other side. So now, in bringing this topic about suicide, about mental illness, about depression, it's something where all of us can do a lot. We can do a lot to change things. A lot of it is our coping mechanisms and how we deal with, or how we see, or how we perceive a situation. A lot of times people perceive a situation far worse than what it actually is. So this is where it's also part to look at a situation and look at the balance of it. Now, Jean herself, she's coaching and at a shelter, and she's a domestic violence advocate. She helps people that suffer from and experience domestic violence. And also, she's done a lot of periscopes and a lot of live streaming on the subject. So again, this is something where it needs to be spoken about. It needs to have a conversation. We need to have the conversation about this, because we're losing a lot of people that just. I just shared on my social media today a video with Robin Williams. Now, yes, he was incredibly funny, but also too, he was a spirit and a soul that had the ability to not just make us laugh, but to make us think. But what causes this? What causes someone to take their own life? A lot of it, I will say, is potentially they don't feel loved, even though they are. They can feel unloved. Now again, people can go ahead and say to you all you want. They can tell you how wonderful you are. They can tell you how awesome you are. They can tell you how amazing you are. But ultimately, the person that speaks the loudest is the person that you look at when you brush your teeth. Now, so that's the real tough part. Now, of course, here you're getting information in the chat as well about the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have information on national suicide prevention and how to spot the signs. You can talk to a trained counselor. And also, of course, there's the suicide prevention hotline as well, which is 1-800-273-TALK. So that's also part of it. You could even text 2741-741. But ultimately, the reason why I'm having this conversation today is the face of depression isn't necessarily always sad. You look at Chester Bennington, he took his life. You look at Chris Cornell, he took his life. These people were not only big influences, well, specifically Chris Cornell and Robin Williams, but they were just amazing spirits and amazing souls. And before they did take their lives, they were actually on the upswing. So the face of depression, or the face of being suicidal, is not something that you normally will see. You will not see someone you don't see them necessarily being sad or being depressed. The signs may not be there. But this is the interesting thing about that. It's all about knowing people. It's all about really connecting with people. It's all about really knowing who they are, how they tick, how they work, all of that. That is really the big telltale sign. The closer you are to someone, it's more likely that you will know them and know their rhythm. You will feel when something's going on. So this is where intuition also kicks in. There are many times that all of a sudden I will feel a certain, something will happen. I call it a disturbance in the force, right? And I, try to figure out or suss out where it's coming from or who it's about, and then I make a phone call or shoot a text or get in my Jeep and go there if I can do it. And then I find out what's the story. I find out what's the situation. And 9 out of 10, it's someone having either a crisis of faith or some form of crisis or some kind of situation happening. Now, part of it is about support. A lot of people that with mental illness, it's in depression, there's not enough support. There isn't enough support out there for people that are feeling that way. Now, I've worked with the homeless. I've worked with people that have been physically challenged, mentally challenged, addicts, you name it, children. And in my history of learning people's stories, I've learned a few things about why the shadow side or why this dark side comes up so frequently. Part of it is not being acknowledged. Part of it is feeling unloved. Part of it is letting the inner critic or the inner director or the inner judge tell you that you're not good enough. So looking at my own social media, you'll notice I try to put out as much positivity as possible. Why? Because the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Let's be transparent and be fair here. But despite the world being what it is, there's also lots of love. There's also lots of caring. There's also lots of support. The atrocities with all the storms that have happened. We're just coming from the tail end of the global citizen festival that just happened a couple of days ago. We are all tribal. We are all part of the same tribe. We are all part of the same people. And a lot of times, society tends to kind of pigeonhole us into either your faith or your political party or gender or age or nationality. And it has a way of segregating and dividing people. So this is part of the reason why we're having this conversation today. Because enough is enough. Now, also Anna is sharing here, in fact, the depression Robert Williams had was dealt with specific disease process. Well, I believe he had Parkinson's as well, right? He wasn't ready to go, and he shouldn't have gone. To me, he was one of the visionaries. He was one of the visionaries in the world. But this is okay. Also, too, body dementia, right? Well, there you go. But this is also a big part of it. Oh, so it wasn't that. Oh, okay. So I stand corrected. But it's unfortunate that some of these just amazing people that help change the world, help light the world, they're beacons of hope a lot of the time, and they get snuffed out too early. Now, what would happen if someone caught at them in time? If someone stopped them and saying, hey, we need you, I need you, you're important. Wouldn't that make the difference? Wouldn't that make a difference in the world? Well, it would, with the person in the right frame of mind. But when the person feels like they have no more hope, if the person feels like they have nothing to look forward to, if they look at it from that perspective, then yeah, nothing. You can go ahead and you can do your best. You can throw a party. And they still won't, change their view. Also, too, there's an interesting analogy that I've used, a metaphor that I've used ever since I was young, actually. It's something that kind of came to my attention a long time ago. And it was utilizing the metaphor of clowns. Now, you notice clowns make people laugh. Well, it scares some people too. But for the most part, clowns are supposed to be whimsical and jolly and bring joy, right? Well, in a lot of ways, clowns, it's the mask they wear. And a lot of comedians have that same kind of identity. Actors too. They're wearing the mask of being joyful and being happy all the time. But in essence, what's really happening is there are a lot of deeper things that are going on that they never share with anyone. So that's why I felt from a very early age that clowns are probably some of the most saddest people Why? Because they're wearing, they're wearing the makeup, right? But what happens when the makeup is gone? What happens when they take the makeup off? What happens when they're no longer acting? What happens when they're no longer being part of the movie? What happens when they're not working? It makes a difference. It changes a lot, right? If you're not fulfilling your life's purpose, sometimes that can affect you in a big way. Now, right here, right now, we have we have Jean in the broadcast where she suffers from depression and she's bipolar and everything. And I have to say, I like the fact that you've said battling, because that means you're fighting. That means you're fighting for better. And I have to say, I've seen, just as an example, and I don't know Jean incredibly well where I've seen her in person, but I do know this, that I've seen Jean on both sides while she's live streamed. I've seen her in both situations. I've seen her very, very sad and not in a good place, and I've seen her in a better place. I've spoken to her on both occasions when she was not doing so great and when she was doing fantastic. Now, this is the interesting thing about when these I'm gonna call them, like, say, demons or thought patterns or when they come up. I lovingly say that I made peace with my angels and demons. We had a beer together and everything's cool. And it is. But a lot of that has to do with being at terms with it, knowing that perfection is not something that you need to attain, that enlightenment is subjective. It's not something that you have to. It all depends. So, and that's also part of it too. Now Anna's saying that she's been dealing with meds and dealing with meds for 18 years. And this is also part of it. Now, this is not, and again, some of our conversations are incredibly funny, like Red Nose Day. But then again, there are other topics and other conversations that need to be spoken about that I'm willing to talk about. And I want to thank all of you for being willing to listen and also joining in with your experiences and your stories and your connections and your disconnections with the topics and the situations and how life can be uniquely your own. But this is all part of why we get together here every week. So now Michael is saying that his ex-wife is also dealing with severe depression as well. But see, this is a big part of it. Now, mental illness is not something, it's not a death sentence. A lot of people think it may be a death sentence. It's not. You could still get past a lot of this. There are things you could do to get past this situation. There are things you could do to become stronger. What happens when you break a limb or break a leg? You put a cast on it. You rest up on it, but then you're mindful of the cast because the cast is there, right? Well, you let the bones heal. You let them set. And then you get past it and you move forward. And it's all about moving forward. So with mental illness and depression, I've seen people involved in it. I've been involved in it myself. It hasn't always been easy. It hasn't always been easy. But the fact is this, though. You continue to move forward. Moving forward is key. in a lot of ways. Being able to look at yourself and say, look, right now things are pretty crappy, but you have to move forward. You have to get up and keep stepping forward. And one thing that is, I'd have to say, an easy step would be just keep moving forward. Don't linger in it. Don't enable it. Don't entertain it for too long, because that's when it gets tough. That's when the downward spiral starts to gain more power. And also, too, I agree with you, Michael. There needs to be a holistic approach. And what I mean by holistic, I mean mind, body, and spirit. It's not just meds. Now, if you need meds, big advocate. If you need meds, if meds are going to make you, I'm going to use the word normalize, but stabilization might be a little bit better. Balance may be a bit better of a word to use. But if meds are going to be the one vehicle to stabilize you, then that's great. If they're just a crutch for the moment and you get past it, that's great too. But it's all about bringing balance to your life, mind, body, and spirit, being able to do things. I have friends that if they're not, as Anna's bringing up, like music, to me, music is therapy for me. If I'm feeling a certain way, music has usually been my therapist in a lot of ways. Also, too, I know people that if they're not physically active, it can affect them. I've known quite a few people that have had the what's called SAD, or season affective disorder, where, and there's different levels of that as well, where when it starts to turn to winter, it's no longer as warm, it's no longer as sunny and all that. That does affect people as well. So in whatever method you need to get past your situation, no difference than a cast. In a cast situation, if you break a leg, then you eventually got to get the cast off. Some things you have to deal with for your lifetime. You have to deal with it all your life. So that's also part of it. Just checking on my dog. All right, he's behaving back there. But that's also part of it. Pet therapy. That also does it. And I'm glad you bring that up, Anna, because self-medication is also an issue as well. Hey, Pamela. When you self-medicate, that's not necessarily a good way to go either, because you're basically covering up. It's kind of like if I have a big pile of dirt and I throw a rug on it, and then I just keep sweeping the dirt under the rug. Eventually, I'm not going to be able to see from one end of the room or the other. Oh, where am I? I'm in my backyard right now. See, these are my back steps. It was a beautiful day out here, so I figured I'd do the show from my back deck. Right here in my backyard. It's very quiet and pretty peaceful. So, also too, finding a way to get around it is really, really uber important. Self-medicating is not the way. So if it's something that you can't do yourself, if you can't get a grip on it yourself, if you can't find the balance within yourself, you should not feel ashamed or feel in any way less than by finding help, by sorting out help. Because in looking for help, you're actually stronger. You're not actually weaker. You're actually stronger. Because you're finding an alternative. Because we only have one lifetime in this body, right? So once this body is gone, then we're floating either, depending on your belief system, you may be going into another lifetime or whatever it may be, right? But the thing is, though, with self-medication, in my experience, I found that people are either running to or running from. Now, an example. You have, right now, there's the big movement of the use of medical marijuana, and I'm a big advocate for that, because if I'm going to dump a whole bunch of chemicals into my body to manage pain or depression or anything, or if I could use CBD, or I could, have a dose of a hash brownie or something, then it'd be different. Now, do I use that? No, I don't. Luckily, I don't need to. But it's something where, are you running from something? Are you running towards something? Are you self-medicating? Are you stopping yourself from your unlimited abilities? Are you living life out loud? Or are you slowly falling apart? Now, these are things that you have to ask yourself. Now, multiple broadcasts previously, a lot of, their methods, you can journal. You have to get it out of your body. You have to get out of your system. You need to find help. You need to look at talking to somebody else. Connect with people. In some occasions, going within is good. And you kind of meditate and go within and figure out what your scenario is. What's your situation? But also, too, there's dragonfly medicine. Very cool. Very cool. But there's also the level of seeking out help. If being alone is not going to help you, if it's just going to make you downward spiral deeper, then you really need to go out of that. You need to be more social. You need to actually get out of your space, out of your head space, out of your emotional. You can connect with people. You can connect with friends that you're close to, that you respond to. Now, also, too, finding someone, a therapist, or someone that you see eye to eye with, is also very, very important. Now, one big mistake that people make is they go for a therapist and they get a therapist. All good. So we're going through Yellow Pages. Boop, 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 boop. Find a therapist. But what happens is, thank you, Anna. You find a therapist, and what happens is you're not honest with your therapist. Or you find a doctor and you're not honest with your doctor. So, if your doctor says, wow, you are pre-diabetic or diabetic, have you been dipping in the sweets, or have you been doing this? Oh, no, and you're clearly lying. Don't lie to these people. So ultimately, what's really, really important is to get a good relationship with someone that you trust. You trust them, they trust you, and you have a rapport with them. Now, once you have a rapport with them, that makes the big difference. That ultimately makes all the difference in the world. Because if you are open and transparent with that therapist, with that person, then they can truly, truly help you. They can figure out what is the problem. They can help you sort out through the muck and mire of what's going on with you. And that's also very important. So you get two Pamelas in the house. Pamela 1 and 2. And that's also part of it too. It's about the whole mask thing. Now, most of you know I'm not a person that wears a mask. As you can tell, scruffy, not unshaven, t-shirt wearing, just whatever. But it's very, very true. So you're not doing yourself any favors by saying, hey, everything's great. You're not doing yourself any favors. As a matter of fact, you're kind of doing yourself a big disservice by doing that. I can guarantee that a lot of people that have taken their lives would have probably still been alive today if they reached out instead of imploding within. They would have been able to kind of seen through what was going on and been able to really take a look at what was happening. So looking at, so be honest with your doctor and be honest with your therapist. Let's see, blawtherapy.com in the description as well. Wait for you to chat with somebody anonymously online. So blawtherapy.com. There you go. I've got an amazing trusty producer here. So that's also part of it too. And also too, through the National Suicide Prevention Hotline too, you can talk to them. I'm sure that's also very anonymous as well. But see, ultimately, this is the thing. If people don't know what's going on with you, then how can they help? Now, in the world today, we have a bit of an issue. We're fearful of being vulnerable. We're fearful of speaking our minds. We're fearful of saying what we feel because we're going to get criticized. Right? A room full of empaths helps too, yeah. No kidding. But this is a big part of it. So now looking for options and looking to see what this is where being stubborn or being mindful, being really super mindful, where that could really change the landscape of who you are. Because when you go ahead and do that, when you reach out and then you go out, and again, like I said, I have no problem. I think having a therapist or having a support group or anything like that, I think is actually very, very good. There are different methods and different ways that all of us can connect with. There was a place that was near me where I used to work that was a Peace Love Studios. Anyone who had an issue, anyone who was challenged in any way, shape, or form could create art. So that's pretty awesome stuff too. Being creative is also part of it. Becoming an advocate for that one thing that is holding you back. There was a story that I read going back a while ago about a woman that had contracted cancer. Now she was pretty sick with cancer, and she became a cancer survivor, complete remission and everything. So now what ended up happening was she started a group with cancer survivors. Now, the interesting thing about that is part of this scenario, one second here, there we go, scenario was the fact that that's why she even contracted cancer. That's why she even had it, was because that was part of her life purpose. So sometimes adversity has a way of showing you as a person whether you're on the right path or not, the path you're supposed to be on. Because there are messages everywhere. As you know, I saw a dragonfly flying around, so of course I'm going to have to meditate on dragonfly, and because there could be a message from dragonfly. So looking at it overall, finding help. Hey Beth, how you doing? But finding help, getting support, knowing that you are strong enough to find other people, find support, being able to connect with others, that's really, really important as well. In doing that, it's also helpful to you to get past this darkness that you have. Hey Tina, welcome. So this is all, as much as this is a heavy conversation, there are other things about it. There are people, like I know people that dance to move emotion. And as I say that, who walks in the room? Q. Hey Q. Sometimes dance or movement You know, like I do Tai Chi. Tai Chi, moving meditation. I don't do as regular as I should. But in moving meditation, that's good. Yoga is amazing for that. I knew a couple of people that they had really amazing pets. So what they do, they got into programs to take their pets to nursing homes and hospitals and turn their pets into therapy ambassadors. So that's pretty cool too, right? This is a big part of being part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. Your situation is temporary. It usually always is. Even life is temporary. All of it's temporary. But it's really all about living life fully to the best of your ability and seeking out what you need to find that balance, which is of mind, body, and spirit. That's really the key here. Once you find that space, then you find that nothing really affects you in a horrible way. Now, as Q is saying here, dancing is my therapy. I wish I could do it more often. Thank goodness for the pups. Right. Now, you know, just in Q's situation, she's had a lot of adversity and hardship herself. Now, I have actually seen the connectiveness of people that care, as well as the pups, as well as dancing. I've seen the physical difference when chronic pain. But if you saw her dancing, holy crap, it's amazing. And I'm not saying that because she's in the room. 100% authenticity here. But this is part of it. Figure out, find a way to get past your adversity. Find the way, reach out to people. Take a look at you may not be you may or may not be surprised, but sometimes that person in the grocery store may be the one person that helps you. I remember when I was a kid, my childhood dog. If I felt less than in any way, shape, or form, you know what? My dog would be on me like white on rice. My dog would be right there. And my dog would absolutely know something was wrong. Talk about connective. Talk about being connected. We used to eat out of the same peanut butter jar, to my mother's dismay, by the way. Eat from the same spoon and everything. But this is the thing. Finding the way out of the darkness is really, really important. So this is why I wanted to bring up the idea. This is why I wanted to bring this up, because it being this month being, you know, suicide prevention, plus with the way the world is today, all of that. There's always another way. There's always a better way. There's always something you can do. There's always something. Now, I've worked with a lot of different types of people, as you know, and I can honestly say that there are many times that people that had less than myself, less than I, they actually helped me get through. And they probably didn't even realize it. So this is also part of it. This is also part of how life is. So it can be very, very disturbing. Life could be very, very shocking. Life can send you into a tailspin where you think you're going to crash. But ultimately, you cannot maybe adjust. You can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can learn to cope. You can find a way. You can connect somehow. You know, if being in nature does it for you, then being in nature does it for you. If earthing's going to do it for you, then do that. Throw off your shoes and walk along the grass. Walk on the beach. if I was recently among these giants, these gigantic silent giants, the redwoods, and I literally there's a picture I took. There was such large redwoods that I could actually walk into one. It was like a small little room, and it was just amazing. The energy in there was just phenomenal, and I took that opportunity to ground. I took that opportunity to release things. And this is another thing that we could do in life, is learn to release and not hold on to things that no longer serve us anymore. We are quick to hold on to things. We're quick to hold on to things that to the devil that we know, as opposed to the devil that we don't know. But sometimes it's worthwhile to look around the corner, even though it's really, really scary. And Gene is absolutely right. It's always good to show self-love. Now, in regards to pets and animals, they could be just as crunchy or crinkly as people. They all have moods as well as we do. So, aren't we part of that whole cycle? So it doesn't matter if you're walking on 4 legs, 3 legs. You can have a bad day in one way, shape, or form. Granted, they could be not feeling well. They can be sick. That kind of thing. So we as souls inhabiting bodies, we have the ability to lash out and not necessarily view a situation in the best light. So this is where it's important to kind of find the light there. If you can't find the light, then make the light happen. Awesome. And Beth's thinking about getting 2 jet black kitty cats. I happen to love black cats. Some people say, oh my God, they're black, bad luck, blah, blah, blah. I actually love them. And I think luck is what you make it. So I'm a firm believer in making the luck different. Switching it up. Turning it on its head. So I'd say do it. 2 cats is good. 20? That might be excessive. But 2, you're in good shape. Absolutely. So find the method. Find the vehicle that's going to help you get out of that moment. Break that cycle. Break that pattern. Because maybe if these brilliant people that have passed on due to their own hands, maybe if they thought about how valuable they were to themselves, then maybe they wouldn't have done what they did. Welcome, Freddie. So this is all a big part of it. So it's really all about trying to be as positive as you can, work with positivity as best you can, but be honest about it too. You know what I mean? A lot of times people will kind of sugarcoat things, and if anyone has known me longer than a couple of minutes, that I don't believe in sugarcoating anything. I'd rather not sugarcoat anything. However, but if there's any positivity in something, I definitely want to focus on that. There are situations that are difficult. But there's always a better way. There's always something you can do. There's always another way of looking at something. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Freddie. Now, self-love also too, crystals as well. In using crystals, I've done that quite often, where you can take, and this is just a little technique that you can utilize. And I think I have shared this before in another broadcast, but I'll share it with you guys again. If you're down by the water, down by the beach, and you don't even necessarily have to be down by the beach, you can go be in your own garden. If you find a rock within your own garden, and the darker the color, the better. And if you go ahead and you take that rock. Now again, this doesn't matter what faith you're in. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, Catholic, Buddhist, Protestant, Baptist. Doesn't matter. You could be completely scientific. this will still work. You take the stone and you put the stone in your hand and you just put it. Now, if you happen to be in public, you can still do this on the fly without people even knowing what you're doing. You can do that. Well, I am in Rhode Island, so I am in the East Coast, United States. Nice to meet you, Freddie. So now, you're taking the stone in your hand and you're focusing on the stone. Now, you could be focusing on the stone and you're just basically taking all the energy that's affecting you, all the negative energy that's affecting you, and you're bringing it into the stone. You're allowing the stone to absorb this negative, toxic, stagnant energy that's no longer serving you. So then you're focusing on that. Now, here's the key difference. You are doing that until you feel a difference. There's something, you're going to feel a bit of a difference. And then when you feel different at that moment in time, then you're going to take that stone and you can say a small prayer, a small affirmation. You can say, for example, you're completely scientific, you don't believe in God at all. That's kind of weird to me, but I'm not going to judge. So yeah, you can do that, and even worry stones, you can rub them and do that as well. But with that stone, this stone, you're actually going to get rid of the stone. So this is why you don't want to necessarily purchase the stone. I can give you another method to do with something that's a more permanent part as well. But you take that stone, you give it an affirmation. If you're by the beach, you just ask God, or you just ask all the energy in this stone for it to absorb everything and then throw it off. You could find a stone. You can do that. You can get a stone. Now, if you happen to buy a stone, you can use obsidian. You could use anything that's water soluble as well. And you can do the same thing, and then you clear it. All you have to do is you put it in some ocean water or some salt water. You can just put it in regular water with a little bit of salt and let it soak in, and it will clear out the stone of all the tensions and stresses and things that are also bothering you. So you can also do it that way. But that's only one technique that you can utilize and you're doing something about, you're actually doing something about changing your situation. That's also a big part of it, is not holding on to something. One big challenge that we have is we hold on to things way, way too long. It's almost like holding a grudge. We hold on to it and hold on to it and hold on to it. And then I remember having someone had an issue with me for multiple years. And I didn't even know that they had an issue with me about that. Never even knew. Until it got to the point where it was really, really, really bad. And it came to surface. And yes, you can use sage as well. True. Now, even with Ariel, while we were in the West Coast, while I was in the West Coast, Ariel, I took the opportunity, and again, living shamanically means you're living it every day. It's not like going to church only on Sunday. It's every day. You're being mindful of it every day. So I took the opportunity to help her release anything that was holding her back. And how wonderful it was to be amongst these giant redwoods. Talk about huge conductivity. Talk about these trees have been rooted for hundreds of years, some of them, right? So why not give your worries to Mother Earth in that way, while being literally embraced by a full-blown redwood tree? It was ultimately just an incredible experience. And I have to give her big props for doing that, because she actually had to go into a redwood tree, which was dark on the inside. It was pretty dark and it was pretty deep. So a little fear was involved, but she did it. So I can give big props to Ariel to going somewhere that she would have normally gone on her own. So I have to say that was amazing. But this is also part of it, is being honest with yourself. realizing, okay, there is a problem. There's something going on with me and I don't know what it is, so let's find out what it is. Look at it like it's a puzzle. Look at it like it's no different than troubleshooting your computer. Something's wrong, let's figure it out. Let's fix it. Let's make the change. Let's make something happen in the opposite. Let's look towards the good, the positive, more towards love than hate, more towards change than stagnancy. So that's also very important. So grounding and mindfulness is incredibly important. Reaching out to people, reaching out to, finding your tribe. I'm sure you've heard this before with other people that do live streaming. Find your tribe. This is not a hashtag. This is not a brand. This is fact. Find people that accept you and you accept them. That they don't criticize you and you don't criticize them. Find those people that you could feel comfortable around, because they may be the ones that are going to help you, even if they just listen. There are times that I've had friends say, hey, do you have time for a coffee? Can I talk to you? Some of them, can I vent? And I didn't say a word. I just sat there and listened. Sometimes all it takes is someone to listen. This is one of the big reasons why I brought up this topic today. This is one of the reasons, because the world right now, it may seem like the world is really, really going off the deep end. But you have the ability to be the light or be the darkness. You have the ability to know whether you're going to feed it, feed the darkness, or shine light. Because ultimately, love does make the difference. And yes, I've used the word love. So unconditional, absolute unconditional love. Finding your tribe, getting out there, putting yourself out there, doing something unique, being creative, finding your purpose, trying new things, going new places, try different food. All these things can help you get past the darkness that may be coming through. And then that may be the life you save may be your own. The life you save may be of someone else. That's really, really important. Now, all of us too, some of us get so involved. Now, we have a term in my tribe, which is the me monster. Sometimes we get stuck in our own stuff to the point where we can't see outside of it. It's good to step out of yourself. And as Michael's saying, step out of your own comfort zone. Realizing there are other things, there are other ways, there are other situations, there are other beliefs. There are other experiences that you can experience to really look at what your life can really truly be. So if you think you're truly depressed, if you think there's no hope, if you think there's no other way, if you think that there's no other chance of things getting better, I may surprise you by saying you're right. Well, yeah, you're right, because you don't want to see it. You don't want to see any other way. However, this is what I'm going to say you're a little bit wrong, is ultimately, there's always another way. There's always something you can do. There's always another direction. There's always another skill you can pick up. There's always an answer. It may not be the answer you like. It may not be exactly the way you design it. It may be not exactly to your life plan. But there's always something around the corner. There's always something different. So whether you have to change, whether you have to pivot, whether you have to shift, there's always something that you could do. So, we're going to bring it down and summarize the show for today. If you feel unaccepted, find people that will accept you. But first you have to accept yourself. If you find that you're lost, get a mental compass. Get a physical compass if you have to. Try to find your way. If you need help, seek it. Find the right people or persons. Find the right person, the right therapist, the right direction, the right method, the right theory, the right therapy, whatever it may be. Reach out and find it. Because once you ring that bell, you could be doing more damage to yourself, and death may not just be the end result. You're looking at karma. You're looking at all kinds of other things that may happen. So always find the way to peace. Find the way to love. Find the way to balance. Find a better way for you to truly be the you're supposed to be, ultimately. So yes, find your tribe, connect with people, do things out of your own comfort zone, laugh inappropriately, do whatever you gotta do, because sometimes, ultimately, those are the one defining moment, that could be the one defining moment that changes everything. It truly can be. So, with that being said, I want to thank all of you for being here. And just remember, you can find hearts in the weirdest places. This was around Redwoods. Okay? So you may too be somewhere and find a heart. Now I want to give props to Peyton Heart Project, because they're the ones who started me on this topic. And also too, I definitely have to get some hearts from them so I can start spreading my own love and light, my own moon stuff, moon juju, using them as a vehicle as well. And also, if there's anything that you need, if there's anything you need to reach out for, if you need to find or need someone to listen, there are programs, there are ways, there are things that you can do. There's always a way, there's always an answer, there's always an option. Something to think about. And always, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you giving yourself love. There's nothing wrong with accepting yourself first. There's nothing wrong with thinking outside the box and looking for the... There you go, we're back. I welcome you and challenge you to see through the negative and look for the positive. One of the mantras that I use is Hakuna Matata. That means no worries for the rest of your days. So, just one of my mantras. But also, as I say every week, be strong, be amazing, be you. Thank you all for being here for the show today. It was great seeing you all, and thanks for coming by. Okay, well, after show. We can do an after show, by the way, guys. But I'm gonna have to move. Because I don't know exactly how much battery I've got or charger I've got. So it will be probably about 5-10 minutes for me to round up all my stuff and go from there. But I do believe appear.in, I think you can have up to 8 people now, right? So try appear.in. I think it's appear.in /insight with Moonshadow. Also too, if you look at, I believe, what we can do is, if Ariel could, the Moon Room. No, Insight with Moonshadow. Thank you so much. What we're going to do is we're going to put up the link on the Insight with Moonshadow page on Facebook. If you're not a follower there, please do follow my social media. You can find my social media in moonphoenixrising.com or phoenixrisinghealingarts.com. There you'll find it as well. But if you look on my Facebook, and if you look up on Facebook, drop the link there. Yes, and thank you for doing that. And I will catch you guys in a few. Give me about 10 minutes to get situated. See you then.